Station, everyone. Happy new comic book day. Happy Whiplash Wednesday with the PCP Army Bad Batch. That's right. We're at it another week. It all started on one collection down. That's Fable on Instagram. And I'll get to the rest after this show because this is Chatting with the Comic Community, episode 24. And my guest today, guys, he is the better half of You Promised Me Comics. He has amazing indie creators on his channel all the time. Great FOC content every Sunday, guys. That's right. I am talking about Sparks Comics. Station.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. I don't know if I'm the better half, but I am a half.
So to the viewers watching right now, tell them a little bit about yourself.
I'm Jeremy. I'm Sparks Comics. Been doing Instagram, YouTube stuff with comics for a little while now. Just recently, we changed the name of the channel to You Promised Me Comics when Caroline was more involved with the channel. But as you can see behind me, I love indie comics. I love certain characters in the Marvel, DC world, but I just love a good story.
That's awesome. So what got you into comics?
Oh, that I was always into like nerdy kind of stuff and just never read comics up till about, I want to say 6 years ago. And it was, I want to say it was the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show that actually got me to read comics, because there was an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comic that came out at the same time. And that also then ended up being like right around the time that Marvel was doing all kinds of crazy stuff with Secret Wars. And so I came into comics at a weird time in Marvel. And that was where I jumped on, though. And one of the characters I always loved was Spider-Man, though I never read a Spider-Man comic. And so that was another place I jumped into with comics.
Well, that's surprising. I never would have thought that you got into comics, like introduced like into Marvel, because like I always see you as like indie. Yeah. And you're not collecting that much Marvel. Like you are starting to collect more Marvel and DC, as I see on your channel quite a bit. You keep talking about books that you're picking up from DC and picking up from Marvel, but I thought you got into it strictly from indies.
No, it was actually my original pull list was just straight Marvel. And then I think somewhere in there I threw in a couple of DC, and then as I really started figuring out, okay, I'm looking at the previews catalog finally, and I started looking at these other titles and reading what they were about and all of that, and I saw all these awesome things. I actually just recently was home and found some of the indie books that I started reading, which I kind of forgot about. I think I actually, hold on. So this is something that just came up recently. This was earlier in my reading Paper Girls, but I saw what I have, and I have random issues of it. I have like 1, 2, 3, and then it goes like 5, 8, 10, and I'm like, what? So I have no idea what happened there. And I know I didn't get to read all of Paper Girls, but it was one of those earlier series that I started reading. But it wasn't until I want to say Something's Killing the Children that I just fell down the rabbit hole of indie comics and started reading more and more and more. And yeah, and then I feel like when I started doing this, really doing the YouTube stuff and doing the Final Order Cutoff show and looking at that is where I really started picking up on some of those series that I missed usually and wanted to check them out and read them. And now I read way too much.
So you say so it's been 6 years since you've been collecting, and you said like you were doing nerdy things beforehand and that. Like what kind of nerdy things were you doing?
I I had Pokemon cards growing up. Played tons of video games. Game Boy, PlayStation was usually the places that I had games between those two platforms. Never had like any of the Nintendo systems other than the Game Boy systems, which is weird. If I'm on those, you think I'd also be getting those other systems, but PlayStation was our console that we had.
Yeah, same here. I did have like the GameCube, and then of course Game Boy Color with like Pokemon Silver was my favorite.
Yeah,
So
I started with the Game Boy Pocket, so that was the second Game Boy that came out. My brothers had the original Game Boys, like the big clunker black and white one. So I had the
yeah,
small black and white one, and I don't know if it was the first game that I played, but one of the first ones I played was Pokemon Yellow. It might have been when Color. It might have been when Game Boy Color came out.
yeah. Uh, I think like blue and red were just black and white, and then
Yeah,
uh, when yellow came out, I think it was they introduced Game Boy Color at the same time, like just as a duo. And because Pokemon, of course, was like their biggest seller for Game Boy games at the time.
yeah, and that was it. My brothers had the red and the blue each, and then I had the yellow. So we we all had all of them together in one way or another.
Yeah, I wasn't lucky enough to get the original, but I was lucky enough later on in the years to get the Game Boy Color with Pokemon Silver when it came out. So I was
Yeah,
pumped because you could also go back and play Kanto and then
right.
Johto as well. So that was always fun. So were you big into anime at all?
No, really. I mean, even so, I still haven't watched a lot of anime. I have a list of animes to watch, but
what kind of movies did you watch growing up?
Oh yeah, movies. That's kind of falls into where some of the love of like fantasy stuff and Star Wars was a big part of growing up. We used to drive like it was probably like a 10 to 12 hour drive for a vacation, like once a year every like so many years, and we had this VHS player that was in a TV that we'd put in the car, and we'd watch Star Wars, we'd watch Disney movies, but I always remember the Star Wars movies, like because that was just such a big part of uh, my childhood and growing up. And then I was, what have I been, like 6 when Episode 1 came out. So Star Wars was a big part of all of that. Um, some of the other stuff I didn't really start to get into until like college when some friends introduced me to like things like Firefly. Well, I guess it's more TV, but they had a movie. It was a season of the movie, right?
Yeah, and
Um,
it's now a comic book.
yeah, yeah. But the took me into like the sci-fi side of things. Um, but yeah, sci-fi fantasy style like movies and animation, even from like Disney stuff, that was a big part of growing up.
Right on. Like I've actually never watched Firefly, but I hear nothing but good things about it. But like I loved everything sci-fi, like what sci-fi was putting out. I know it's mostly
Mhm.
Canadian broadcasting, but like Continuum, I don't know if you've watched that, Haven, um, a ton of great, like what are some of the sci-fi shows that you loved?
Oh, I mean, currently, The Expanse on Amazon Prime. Um, that one is really good. There's comics for that too. Boom Studios did. I think there was like a prequel comic that they did, and then they did one for in between this last season and then the season that's coming up. And so I just caught up on all of that recently. So now I got to go read the trade of that comic so I can see what was going on before the next season comes out. But it is a very well done show. It's not
Yeah,
like super high
I
budget like Star Wars budget, but it's good.
yeah, I haven't yet to watch that either. Like I have Prime, but I don't know
Mhm.
why. And I'm huge into sci-fi, but I don't know.
Yeah, one of the shows that I found out about like during college that lots of friends recommended and I still haven't watched was like Battlestar Galactica, which I hear I need to watch. But yeah, so I don't know. Sci-fi fantasies are always just a genre that's drawn me in, and then taking that into comics, we only find them when they're dead. One that caught my attention right away because that's big sci-fi. Uh, Aftershock doing the Clans of Bellari. That's a pretty cool sci-fi one. Uh, yeah, just love that genre of everything. Books was probably more where I hit that genre though, growing up. Um, I can't even think of most of the stuff. There's just like random things I just pick up and just. I always was a reader, always.
So you're always reading before you even got into comics. Like what were some of the books that you got into reading when you were younger?
Harry Potter was the biggest. Um, that series. A lot of the other ones were just like random books here and there, and then in high school I started reading other books that like weren't. They were like the high school reading books, but they weren't the books that I was reading for high school at the time, like 1984, uh, Brave New World, like those ones, which are then like completely outside of everything else that I was reading. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Different genres in there. Um, but I think growing up, there was not a time that I didn't have a book I was reading. I just like comics now, where there's always a comic that I'm reading. books were it for me then. And now, recently, I haven't read a book in a while, and it's making me want to go back and pick one up. And I've got a huge one that's sitting on my reading list right now. And then Dune is on my reading list too. I have it. It just hasn't happened yet.
I was big into reading books too. Like I read the original Dexter and like all of S.E. Hinton's books I've read and stuff back then. And like Jackie Brown was originally a book, and I read that before I watched the movie. But like thinking about it now, going back and actually reading a book, you're like, well, I can knock out these 5 comics faster than I can read that book. So you're like, yeah, I'll just read the comics.
I know. I'm looking over, like I've got a bookshelf over here, and I'm like, yeah, that one would take me probably like a month or 2 to get through at the rate, with all the comics that I'm reading and trying to throw in that to read too. I just need to start. That's it. Just pick it up, read a chapter, and now I'm like, all right, I'm into it. Even if I, take a chapter as like, instead of reading a comic, it's probably about the same length.
Yeah, you can get through a comic in no time. So you did talk about you were 6 when episode 1 of Star Wars came out, and like that was your introduction pretty much to Star Wars?
No, like I was saying, we'd watched the trilogy before that, growing up, and I don't know why, because my parents weren't super like sci-fi fans or anything like that. It's just we had it. Both my brothers are older though, so that might have been part of it. They, the oldest one is 6 years older than me, so he'd been like 12 when that was coming out. So that might have been it. I really don't remember how I started watching it. I just knew. I know growing up, I would watch Star Wars like all the time. And so when episode 1 came out, it was like, yep, we're going to see that.
So I'm a little older than you. So like I was 11 when episode 1 came out of Star Wars. And I remember watching the original trilogy, but didn't respect it enough. And then Star Wars episode 1, I found my love for it. And then later on down the road, found Star Wars, like the original trilogy, like in high school, and that just binged watched that. So I was just wondering if it was the same thing for you being.
Okay, I might have been 7. I forgot what year it came out, and I had to double check myself on the year. Yeah, no, it was the original trilogy first. Just like I said, when we were doing those car rides, and we just liked watching VHS movies growing up. And so we had, it was a box set of VHS tapes of the 3 movies. Like I can picture this still, like what we had and how we would watch them. But I was probably really young when I first watched it, I guess. I can't remember the first time.
Yeah, it's hard to remember that first time that you watched it, especially when you're so young.
Yeah. Like I wish I was a little bit older, so I'd be like, yeah, I was, here and doing this. I know where I saw the episode 1 movie, because it was a theater that we normally didn't go to. So like I remember that, but the original trilogy, I have no idea.
I find like with the original movie too, and being the age that we were, the lead actor being a kid, you can be relatable to him. So you're like going into it and you're just like, oh, this kid's going to be a Jedi. Maybe I could be a Jedi.
Yeah.
So,
I did dress as Anakin, not episode 1 Anakin, I want to say it was episode 2 Anakin for Halloween one year. That did happen. I had the lightsaber, there was a mask, and there were Jedi robes.
Nice. So like, did you, looking back on the original trilogy, I know it gets a lot of hate and that, but like going back and rewatching it, it's not that bad. Like, would you have to agree on that?
The like 3 episode 4, 5, 6?
No, episode 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. No, I mean it's what it had to be for, we knew what was going to happen. I think the one that gets the most hate is episode 1, and it's because of Jar Jar. People don't like Jar Jar. I don't know. I thought it was good comedic relief, but maybe overdone to a certain extent. But still, like I don't hate the character. There's always some sort of comedic relief in the movie some way. C-3PO, R2-D2, their relationship's a good comedic relief. We had we've had the cuteness factor in certain movies, right? The Ewoks, the Porgs. It's always something that they throw in. So I don't feel like that. If you look at all of the movies, it's not doing anything different than the other ones, right? It's got some of those same elements.
Yeah, I think the people's biggest problem was Anakin Skywalker, his change and like how he become. But like me and Steph was talking in that, and like we got to realize that there was a lot of time between episode 2 and episode 3. So that growth, and he was already a Jedi in that, and like you got to know his pain, what he's going through and stuff. So they did that perfectly, and he is returning as Darth Vader here coming soon. So
yeah, I mean he had traumatic things happening to him growing up, and that built in that anger and pain. And I don't know, I didn't feel like there was anything missing from that journey of him headed to the dark side. Maybe episode 3 got a little bit more rushed because things had to happen. They only had that little space to, make him become Darth Vader. But at the end of the day, I think they set up the right events to get him there.
Yeah, and they did it right by making the Clone Wars TV show too, like because they kind of delve into that kind of like development of how he was going to change in that show.
Exactly. Yeah. Those extra details are nice, and they aren't necessary. Some people I know haven't seen it, and you can still enjoy it, but I think it makes it even better.
So growing up, did you ever get into like, I always talk about this because like you're in the same kind of age group, but like Beast Wars or the original Transformers?
See, Transformers, I missed the boat on Transformers growing up. I think I had some like, maybe there were McDonald's toys or some little toys of Transformer kind of things, but that was all I knew about Transformers. I didn't know, well, obviously at that point I didn't know comics, but also I didn't know the shows or anything either. There's a lot of those like retro cartoons and things that you would think I would know, but I don't know. And that's one of them, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like a lot of people, they either miss the boat, like, cause like I was too young for the original Transformers, but at that time Beast Wars came out. But then after that, later on in the years, there was nothing after Beast Wars ended. So
until the Michael Bay movies.
Yeah. Were you into those at all?
I watched the first 2, 3. I don't remember how many there were anymore. I know I didn't watch the last one.
I think there's like 5 now, and then the Bumblebee.
I might have watched Bumblebee. I can't. It's a little bit of. They all started to seem very similar. I remember there was a dinosaur one though.
Yeah, that was like, I don't know which one that one was, like 4 maybe.
So I might have. Okay, so if there were 5 of them, then I probably stopped at the dinosaurs. I remember Bumblebee in the main ones, but I don't know if I saw Bumblebee's separate movie.
Yeah, Bumblebee was it was directed by somebody else, and it was fantastic, I thought. It has the girl who's going to be playing in Hawkeye.
Okay.
Nice. So she was the lead actress in that. So that was a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely go try it out.
Sure.
But have you been into collectibles at all?
Like figures, that kind of thing.
Figures, statues. I know you're into cards.
I've got some Funko Pops. I haven't bought one in a long time now, but I still have a lot of them from when I was collecting them. And then got a couple statues, 1, 2, 3, maybe like 4 or 5 at most. Actually, and they're Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen related. I'm looking over at them. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot. I mean, and then I have like custom one done from Lewis, Shadow Rabbit clay guy for Noctera.
Oh, and that's all. That's made out of clay.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and
And it lights up.
oh, if the battery's still working, there we go. Yeah, her visor also lights up, so it looks like the secret variant, which is the one I've got right there. So it's like she's got the lit visor and the torch is going there.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So I guess that's my 6th statue then, right? It's a custom one though.
Custom one made out of clay and it lights up. So yeah, I'd count that.
Yeah, super cool.
So like you talked about, like I love that you brought up Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because like that show, a lot of people don't give it enough love, but everybody I have on this show always it gets brought up and people still talk highly about the show. So I'm like, where's all this hate for this show coming from?
I think it where it started was a lot better than where it went, but I still watched it, still liked it. And I think that all came down to the whole division of Marvel movies and Marvel TV. And it started in a good relationship and they could share a little bit and their timelines matched up. I think that's what made like I think it was the first 2 seasons that lined up well with the events of the MCU. Made that so nice. I loved the like interconnectedness and like I think they even would say in some episodes like watch this movie first or you might get spoilers for it or something
Yeah.
or watch something, what something had to be watched before the other unless you didn't care and then you'd get spoilers. And I thought that was cool because I think there was a tie-in to maybe it was the aftermath of like the second Thor movie.
There's aftermath after the Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. Okay.
And that because the fall of Shield happened, and then Hydra like came out of the shadows. So of course it's going to affect Agents of Shield.
Yes. Yeah. So like all of that interacting, I thought was awesome. And then once they got more divided in their divisions, the TV and movie departments and what's his face? Who's in charge of the movies? Blanking on his name.
Oh, Coulson?
No. In Marvel, the guy who's in charge of movies.
Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige, thank you. Once he kind of was wanting to take over that and they didn't want to kind of give it up, that's where I think S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't do as well because it wasn't able to connect to the MCU anymore. They weren't really working closely together.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like season 4, I think that was like the introduction of the LMDs and then the framework and stuff. I really loved that season, especially when they went into the framework and it was the what if episode.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed those seasons in the LMDs.
Oh yeah. I loved all the seasons. It was just like I felt like it just became its own thing more so than it was a part of the MCU and Marvel. It was like its own quirky spy show that wasn't really a part of Marvel, but it was. But it was fun.
It was trying at the start.
Yeah.
It would have been cool if it was eventually connected with the MCU perfectly, but now they're doing that with the TV shows now. So I guess they've heard us as fans saying like, "Oh, we wish Agents of Shield was connected with the MCU." Oh, you know what? We'll create a platform and give you what you wanted. So
yeah, I like that they're reintegrating everything because like the Hulu shows also like not connected. Like Runaways wasn't. The Hellstrom show isn't really.
and that's kind of weird because Runaways wasn't, but Runaways and Cloak and Dagger were.
Yep.
That was kind of weird, but
yeah, and I don't even have Hulu, so I haven't. I've watched. I think I watched the first season of Runaways, and I haven't seen anything else that's come out on Hulu since.
Yeah, first season of Runaways was good, and then it just kind of went downhill after that, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I missed. I don't. Yeah, I don't think I saw any of Cloak and Dagger. I missed the rest of Runaways, and then what came out? MODOK came out recently too. So I want to watch MODOK. It seems fun. So one of these days I'm going to get Hulu and then just binge through all of that and then probably stop Hulu.
Yeah, MODOK is fun. Like it's the kind of animation, clay animation type thing was like Robot Chicken. Like it's done by the same people. And it definitely go into it not like expecting like a down to earth story or a taken serious story because it's all for fun.
It just looks like it's a comedy.
Yeah,
and that's it. It is odd though to use MODOK in that way, and then I don't know. I guess it would be hard to use him in the real MCU though.
Now, yeah, and not make him a joke.
Right, put him in like I don't know, just giant CGI floating head. I don't know how they do seem to like almost some of the characters make them not as like comic book like, right? You know, not as like their costumes aren't how they are in the comics all the time. Like Scarlet Witch wasn't, but she dressed in her Scarlet Witch costume for Halloween, which was kind of funny. So it'd be interesting to see how would MODOK look in that like live action version of himself.
Yeah, because it would be kind of hard because he's like a huge head.
Right.
So like, how do you make that like? I'm not even sure how you do that.
I don't even know.
Like the only way that I can see them actually doing it is it's like a robotic head and like robotic legs and stuff with the screen on it. And that's his face on the screen, but that's the only way I can see.
They would have to come up with something crazy.
So did you watch all the way through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I think so. Actually, I might have not seen. I feel like the last season I didn't see.
There's a character from Agent Carter that comes into the last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Not Agent Carter.
No. The guy with the limp.
Okay.
I forget his name. But he
was her like her only like her ally in the department, right?
Yeah, him and Jarvis. The actual Jarvis. And of course Howard Stark.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, he was the one that was like directly in there all the time and trying to not let the other people in the department treat her poorly.
So let's go back to comics, man, because like you said you dropped a lot of Marvel and you haven't been picking up a lot of Marvel, but that's how you got started. When did you like you said around like Something is Killing the Children, that's when you went full board on indies?
Yeah, I think that's when it started. I think at that point, I was still mostly reading Marvel. I never have read mostly DC. I don't feel like there's a character in DC that I really just connect with in any way. Um, Spider-Man was the character for me in Marvel, and then we've got like the younger characters I really like in Marvel. So there's some characters the Marvel side that I feel more attached to, and so I'll read their stories. But DC never, like, I'm reading Batman right now because James Tynan's writing it, and then I did add some other stuff recently from DC, so I'm picking up some more now. And I plan whenever the trade for Tom Taylor's Nightwing comes out, I will read that. But I'm not single issuing on that one. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not either. That sold out pretty quick on my end, so I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna like go and find like eBay prices for it and stuff.
no,
I'll wait for the trade. I am interested in the story.
yeah, No Good Comics is definitely said a lot of good things about it. So at some point, whenever that comes out, I will definitely read the trade of what he's doing there, because I love Tom Taylor's writing. Seven Secrets, definitely up there in one of my favorite books, and so his writing in that is awesome. I'm sure I'll love Nightwing's writing.
So, do you read mostly just physical copies, like the floppies and trades, or do you read some digital?
Not usually digital. I don't. I think at one point I did like the Comixology Unlimited, and there was some stuff that was like exclusive Comixology stuff that I was reading through. And then I subscribed to some of the creators' Substack stuff, so I'm getting some digital stuff that way right now. But outside of that, it's all physical copies and trades and more things than I will soon have room to know what to do with. But
That's the big factor is space.
yeah, so my plan is to kind of go through, reassess what I have, sell some that I don't need anymore, or maybe even sell it to my shop for credit or something, and then clear out some space and then keep reading new stuff. But there are some, like, I'm starting to pick up some trades of some series that I've read that maybe I would sell the single issues for, and then I have the trade and I can just hold on to the trade to read forever.
Yeah, that's what I did. Like that's why I like trades in that, because you can go back and read a story that you haven't been reading before. And Marvel does it best with their collected editions and stuff. DC needs to step up their game, in my opinion. But like, I was able to read like the first 50 issues of the Spawn, and because of the Spawn compendium, and I know you as well as Caroline are picking up the Wicket and the Divine.
Yeah,
I've been really enjoying that.
I forget which was the last one I left off on, but maybe like around 6, I want to say 5 or 6 of the trades.
Yeah, I'm actually have it right beside me, but this is 5, volume 5. So like I have like maybe one issue left in that.
Yeah.
But they started it off strong in my opinion with the first issue of that trade.
Yeah. See, I that was a struggle to get through the magazine. But yeah, after that, I was like, all right. I liked the information that came out of that, but it was just like, I'm used to, you're reading through a comic, you go through pretty quickly. That took like double, triple the time to go through. Still enjoyable though.
I had to double take because like I went through it and then I was like I got to the next issue and I was like, wait, that was the issue, and I had to go back. I was like, all right, it is the issue. So I was like, damn it.
Yeah, that was like, wait, what is going on here?
So I really think they should make this a show. They have enough, like it's 9 volumes in trade.
At some point.
Yeah, because like they just made Why the Last Man. I don't know if you've read that series before this show.
No, I haven't. It's on Hulu, so I have not watched it yet either.
Oh, okay.
But Brian K. Vaughan's doing a lot of good things. So, Paper Girls is being adapted.
Is it? I did not know that.
Yeah, they're actually there. I think they're filming right now.
Oh, nice.
Because he just posted something today or yesterday in his story, and it was somebody on the set with like the whatever that thing is that they.
Oh yeah. I know what you mean. I don't know what it is either.
And it said something like, we can't show any of the set because they're in their costumes and secrets. But yeah, it's happening. Saga needs to happen. Wicked and Divine needs to happen. But yeah, Brian K. Vaughan's stories and worlds he's created are just awesome.
Yeah. Missing Link would have to agree with you on that. So like, did you read the book Why the Last Man?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
I haven't read anything. Yeah.
And do you know who's going to, what platform or what channel that's going to be on?
The Paper Girls? I'm not sure. Might be. I don't know. It would take too long to probably find his story where he posted that, but maybe I can. I don't know if it says anything like the publishing company or let's see. I don't think so. I see the Paper Girls logo on it though. There's the Paper Girls on it.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess it says can't show you a pic because they're always in costume and it's super duper top secret. But yeah, I think that's the director there. So pretty cool. It's happening.
Yeah, I think you'll. I've been watching Why the Last Man, and I've been enjoying it. I think you will enjoy it too. So I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, that'll be one when I decide to go on a Hulu binge that can knock that out at the same time. Is it releasing weekly?
Yeah, it released its first 3 episodes right away, and then every Monday.
So kind of like Invincible did, where I think it did 2 episodes and then weekly.
Yeah, and Titans did the same thing, but I thought that was kind of dumb because Titans is only 10 episodes, and they dropped all 3 episodes right away. So I was like, I don't know if you're watching Titans, but I've been enjoying that too.
I haven't watched it yet.
Again,
the DC side of things where I don't know the characters. I'll watch it at some point though.
Yeah, I think you should go and watch Doom Patrol.
I've heard lots of good things about Doom Patrol.
Because like I didn't know anything about any of those characters going into it, and it's you get the introduction, like they introduce them kind of to you throughout the season, mm-hmm. So it's a good jumping on point.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about that, and I've heard Titans is either people really love it or they've got problems with certain aspects of what they've done with the characters.
Yeah. Like all I gotta say is like when you're watching Titans, you gotta realize that it's in a different world. This is like a darker type of world. This is a darker take on the Titans, and you just gotta go in with that mindset, and you'll be fine.
From what I've heard, does Beast Boy actually transform into anything other than one creature?
He is only turning into a tiger. But it does touch on the fact that he can turn into other animals. He just hasn't tried or like has been struggling with trying to turn into a different creature.
I would say because that's his whole thing is like turning into all of these creatures, and so that, like that, and then there was another character like to just look and costume and everything. They made them.
Oh yeah, Starfire. A lot of people had issues with Starfire, but at the same time, like. She is kind of like, if you look at the character, she's orange in the comics, so.
But she could be orange.
Yeah, well, they do play on that, like.
Because we got Gamora is green.
Yeah. They try to kind of make it realistic to the most part in the show. It's kind of different, but like I don't think they had a lot of time because like the first season it was supposed to be 13 episodes, and then last second it like they had the story already written out and stuff, and then they got dropped down to 10. And that's why they had to like transfer over and cut down a story that should have been longer in the second season. It was like the first episode that aired. So
sounds about right. Hey, you want to tell us this story? Well, just cut parts of it out and make it make sense.
Yeah,
have fun.
Which kind of sucked, but
that's something that happens. I feel like all the time with shows and movies. It's like you got to make it a little bit shorter, and then things that should have been there just go missing, and it's like, why did this happen? But at the end of the day, if it's still enjoyable, then it doesn't matter.
I've also been loving like it's another DC title, but like Stargirl. Stargirl's been a great show as well. It aired on DC Universe first season, and now second season is over on the CW channel. And people were worried that it was going to get lighthearted, but this season is darker than the last.
Oh, I thought season 1 wasn't on CW.
No.
Oh, huh. I don't know why I just thought the whole thing was a CW thing. Maybe because they were advertising it on CW at some point. I don't know. I haven't watched the CW shows, I don't think, in a while. Loud cars driving by.
Yeah.
I finished Arrow, and then I might have stopped the Flash around the time that like the season where Arrow ended. And I think the Flash has had 2 seasons since then, maybe.
I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty behind on that. So just waiting for some of it to pop onto Netflix, I think, and that's where I'm catching up on it, because I haven't been watching like the live CW stuff in a while.
Yeah, neither do I. Like Flash always comes on when it's airing on the CW. Like I think 2 days later, it comes onto Netflix or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I know they dropped one of the seasons a couple weeks back, and I haven't. Maybe it was a couple months now. I don't know.
Yeah, they had a season drop, and like the last episode. Yeah, I think it was like a month and a half ago that So it ended for the month. So new season's probably going to be coming soon, since usually shows start back up in October.
Yep. Yeah. Cool.
So before we wrap things up, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. It's been an awesome chat, talking everything nerdy with you.
Absolutely.
And guys, this is Whiplash Wednesdays with the PCP Army Bad Batch. One collection was earlier, like I said at the beginning of the video. Next up is Nick Comic Culture, who's going to be dropping a haul video. Then after that is Big Herm Collectibles and Sam from Sam's Tangled Web, chopping it up about Marvel, DC, movies, who knows, check it out. And then a new addition to the PCP Army Bad Batch, Brandon Comics Kings. Him and Missing Link Stefan will be probably getting together for Crisis on Infinite rants at some point today. And then ending the night in fashion, as always, is Tomorrow Cinema for What Are You Reading? He'll have a staff panel, as always, talking about the comics they've been picking up, the comics that they have been reading. So thank you so much, Jeremy, for joining me today. The link to his channel is down below, as well as his Instagram. Go check it out. You Promised Me Comics with Caroline's Comics.
Thanks for having me.
So the last question of the night, or the day, I should say. What are you picking up right now that you are just loving and that you urge people to go at least give it a try?
Nobody's Child. Definitely think that's worth the read. That's the one that we We did the exclusive cover for.
Oh, I'm surprised. I should have actually touched on that a little bit.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, this is an awesome read. It's Nobody's Child. Issue 1 came out 2 weeks ago from Behemoth Comics. Massimo Rossi's the writer. Ramiro Barallo is the interior artist. And we got this exclusive comic variant here from Anna Shadowcats, the artist on the cover. We still have some that we're selling, so hit us up on Instagram if you want to get one. But the story itself is just so good. It's a very, very important story about animal rights and what humanity would do really to, if you got a cure to anything, what humanity is going to do to the animal that kind of is the cure to everything, and hunting it to extinction. So it's an important story. His writing is really good across. He's writing several titles right now. Locust from Scout Comics, Broken Souls Ballad from Black Caravan, which is Scout Comics also. So that's I'd say even just not even one book, but a writer to go check out and read some of his stuff.
That's awesome. Like anything else, I know you titled your show after You Promised Me Comics, and that was a big part of You Promised Me Darkness. You talk about that quite a bit.
Yeah, it wrapped up 3-4 weeks ago was the last issue for the first story arc, but there's going to be more. So I think 2022 we're going to get the next story arc for You Promised Me Darkness, which that's pretty cool. I really like the story. I think we're going to get a trade for that coming later this year, early next year, for people who didn't pick up the single issues. That one's definitely cool. One that came out this week from Scout Comics that was fun, Impossible Jones. It's essentially like a thief ends up getting superpowers, gets mistaken for a superhero, and then starts, kind of doing superhero things, but also they're still a thief. So, it's like she gets almost like Mr. Fantastic's powers a little bit. I think there's some other powers mixed in there, but she's got like stretchiness. And
so kind of like Plastic Man, because Plastic Man was a thief before he ended up joining with the heroes.
Yeah, there might be some inspiration there because it's the creator's Carl Kessel, who is the creator of King Shark from DC. Okay. So he's written a lot of stuff, but this is, I think, probably the first book I've actually read from him. And it's of course in the indie side of things, but it was good humor.
That's awesome. Everybody go check out those books because Sparks is like the king of indies. So thank you again for joining me. Guys, go check out his channel. And while you're down there, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe now because always dropping great content. And make sure to hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video. Station Sparks, station everybody who's watching.
Station.